Hi, I'm Carlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're all having a great week. Welcome to The Cult. The Cult is a show I do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 5 p.m. And then we go live on Saturdays at 6 p.m. for Socialism Saturday, a little bit later on Saturdays. And basically, we talk about all aspects of the culture war, from the left, from the right, all the different cults that exist on all sides of the equation. And I got to tell you guys, if they're, one of the cults that I think is a little under spoken about in the mainstream world is the cult of the libertarians. And it is one of my favorite cults because you have all sorts of different types of people and even all sorts of different subcults within the cults of the libertarians, to the point where, well, if people think that the libertarians can't get their act together, it's because there are way too many people with way too many different ideas about what it even means to be a libertarian. But one of my favorite things that I have gotten involved in since I became a libertarian, what is it now, 2.5 years ago, contrary to rumors spread on the internet, I have not been kicked out of the Libertarian Party. I have not left the Libertarians. I am still members of both the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, against my better judgment, because their leadership are all right conservatives right now, and of Libertarian National Party and all that good stuff. And one of my favorite libertarian things is Porcfest. Porcfest is the Porcupine Freedom Festival hosted by the Free State Project in New Hampshire annually in June. And for some reason, and I don't know why this is exactly, I end up getting canceled like days before Porcfest every single year by someone on the conservative right. I've been to Porcfest 2 years in a row. The first year, the first day I went to Porcfest, I started getting mobbed by the white identitarians. And last year, literally as I'm driving to Porcfest, Matt Walsh sicked his mob on me by retweeting someone who had quite literally doxed my house on the internet. And so I spent my first night at Porcfest last year doing a stream for 2 hours where I was just blocking people on Twitter. And that was how I spent my first night at Porcfest last year, and somehow managed to get like 2,000 new subscribers out of it. I don't know exactly how that worked. Anyway, so Porcfest is but a few weeks away. So my annual canceling is coming up. But luckily, I will be in the woods surrounded by any sort of substances that will relieve my tension and anxiety, having a great time with some of the greatest people in the world. And so it does make the annual cancellation that I experience as part of Porcfest a whole lot easier. And today, guys, we've got a really great show. We have on the organizer of Porcfest, Dennis Pratt, and we also have a newbie who's going to be attending Porcfest for the very first time, Kino Reviews, and we're going to have a chat about Porcfest. And before we bring them on, I just have a couple quick orders of housekeeping. Yes, Gabs is going to Porcfest too. She's going to be giving a talk about what the schools are doing to kids, because people really need to know that. That's going to be a great talk. I'm really looking forward to that. But let me jump into my orders of business before we bring on my illustrious guests. Now, did you guys know? I found this out last night. Did you guys know that Abe Lincoln is queer? Was queer? They quite literally, Discovery Plus has a series called like The Book of Queer or something like that, where they did a whole episode about how Abe Lincoln was queer. Now, there have been rumblings in the historical communities for years about, was Abe Lincoln into men? I don't really care if Abe Lincoln slept with men at all. What bothers me, and come on, we all know that Mary Todd Lincoln was probably a fag hag, one of the first fag hags in the history of fag hag. Like, come on, we can just be honest about it. But I don't care if old honest Abe slept with men. That's not important to me. What is important to me is that they literally stopped the episode to interject with a lesson about queer theory in the middle of the episode, because they made it a purposeful point to call him queer instead of gay, and that's important. Now, there's no universe in which Abe Lincoln was queer, because as we know, queer is an act of political defiance against normative culture, and Abe Lincoln literally married a woman to succeed in politics. So if he was gay, he seemed to be trying to assimilate to normative culture to me. Anyway, I covered the story and I broke it all down. And on my Substack, which is Carlyn, KARLYN .substack.com. And if you want the evidence, like the fact that Abe Lincoln lived with a man and slept in the same bed with that man for 4 effing years, there is evidence for it. I'm sorry. I hate to burst anyone's bubble. There is evidence for this. But whether or not he was gay is not the point. This is what I've been trying to get across to people. Whether or not he did the deed or he did not do the deed is not the point. The point is that they're using it as an opportunity to interject lessons about queer theory, which has nothing to do with what the situation was. That's what we need to focus on. And that's the way it goes. So you guys can argue about whether or not Abe Lincoln was gay in the chat, because you haven't even looked at the evidence. I'm sorry. Gay men can sleep with women too. They really can. I promise you, the equipment is the same. It just might not be their preference. Anyway, we can have that discussion another time, but that is on the Substack right now, which is carlin.substack.com. I also want to let people know, and I haven't really talked about this that much, I'm actually going to be doing a workshop tomorrow all about mindfulness strategies. I know that seems a little bit bizarre, but this was what I did in a former life, and I'm working on getting my training programs online so that people can access them on demand. And how I do that is I basically do a live session with the training where anyone can come, and we're going to talk about mindfulness strategies for work and play to de-stress your life, to make sure you don't become an outrage addict. Mindfulness is my first love. I wrote a whole book about mindfulness. I know when I'm yelling on the internet, people might not understand this, but listen, man, I managed to yell on the internet 1 minute and then be completely fine the next minute because I understand how mindfulness works. I also think that it helps me to maintain a detached perspective about what I'm doing. And I have strategies and tips and tricks that you can use in any area of your life. And we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. You can sign up on the link I just put in the chat, and I will pop this in the chat over on Rumble if you want to join us for the live show, learn more about it. And if you can't join us tomorrow for the live show, there will be a recording that will be be available right afterwards. There is a price to join. If you are a member of my locals community or my Patreon community for a monthly donation of $25 or more, I will be sending you the VIP code a little bit later today. This webinar kind of snuck right up on me because it's early this month in my Unwoke Your Work series because of Porcfest. So it snuck right up on me, and I'm a little bit late in getting the stuff out. But if you want to join me, it is going to be there, and I do hope that people do. We've got some great people signed up. We're going to have a good time. So come learn about mindfulness tomorrow on in this webinar, and I'll be sending more information out about that soon. And always remember that you can support the work I'm doing and get some cool swag over at unwokeart.com. And the reason I bring this up today is that you can see right here in the very top, Porcfest 2020. I have a special Porcfest exclusive collection. I will have some of this merch at Porcfest, but if there's something that you specifically want, I do have a hub at Porcfest. You can find it on the map under Unwoke Art, and there will be some items there. But honestly, if you see something that you want in the store, it's best to just order it now. That way it'll come in and you will have it all ready to go for Porcfest. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is this pop toy. I'll tell you more about that in a second, but I got some great designs, man. I'm actually really happy with some of my designs. Let me show you some of these designs. I'll show you the sticker versions. Oh, it's not in there. Hang on. Oh, I obviously screwed up the collection, but check this out. Check this out. I love this design. This is the live free or die porcupine. Death is not the worst of evils. I think that's a great design. There's going to be stickers of that. There's t-shirts, there's hoodies, there's all sorts of stuff. I love this Porcfest calling design with the starry night sky and the porcupine. That's been a popular choice. My favorite is the psychedelic porcupine, and you'll notice these all have the special Porcfest logo on them. And so if you see something you want, we've also got the Daddy Goldbucks Mr. Porcupine design. That looks pretty great. I had and even Dennis says this doesn't look like his dog, but I think it does look like his dog. Dennis's dog for president 2024, Ron Pa. Maybe Ron Pa will make an appearance today. But the thing I really want to draw your attention to is this. And I have it right here. Hang on. This is the exclusive porcupine with AR-15 pop toy that we customized made exclusively for the Unwoke art booth at Porcfest. It came out great. We've got 100 of these. They are a limited edition, and a whole bunch of them have already been sold on the website. And this is something that you can exclusively get at Porcfest. So this is not something, hang on, I need to be there too. There we go. If you are not coming to Porcfest, I'm not shipping these. These are only available for delivery at Porcfest, okay? So this is only for attendees. You will pick it up at the Unwoke Art booth. We are going to be having painting parties at the Unwoke Art booth so that you can customize your pop toy, or you can take it as is if you just want it like it is, or you want to do it later at home. Now, if there are any leftovers, I might ship those, but I want to make this exclusive for Porcfest attendees. So you can pre-order yours now. Make sure you're reserving them. They are $25 each. And then you can pick them up at the Unwoke Art booth, or additional, if we have any leftovers, they will be available to buy on site. But I'm so proud of this. I think this looks so great. And this was designed by Kino. He did such a good job on it. He worked really hard on it. And I'm so excited to see it take form. It's a project we've been working on for a really long time. So you can get all that at unwokeart.com. And pick your porcupine up at Porcfest. Come paint with us. It'll be a fun time. All right, guys, without further ado, I'm going to be bringing on our illustrious guest for today, the designer of the porcupine toy, Kino Reviews. And we also have Dennis Pratt, the organizer and illustrious, organizer extraordinaire of Porcfest. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carlin.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you guys here. The Porcfest chat is oftentimes one of my favorite chats that we do every year. And Dennis and I have been making this a little tradition over the past couple of years, haven't we, Dennis?
Yeah, I mean, this is the fourth edition of this series. The first one was Carlin talking a little bit about how nervous she was about what this Porcfest was all about, and what was really going to happen, and how confusing it all seemed. I mean, it. You know, to a newbie, it seems a little bit confusing because it's such an unusual event. It's not a convention. It's not a regular outdoor festival. And so she had all these questions, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic that she asked them on the air, and we got to talk about them. But then what we did was I interviewed her for the second edition. I interviewed her afterwards to find out, well, what was her actual experiences at Porcfest, and all of the concerns that she had and things like that. What were they real concerns? And that's actually one of my favorite ones of this. And then the next year what we did was we did an edition where we interviewed the kind of the head coordinators of all the different functions. I mean, basically, Porcfest is the Free State Project. Porcfest is a celebration of the Free State Project. This is the 20th year of the Free State Project, having selected New Hampshire as the place for a mass migration of libertarians away from the authoritarian 49, away from all the authoritarian countries, and settling in one state only. We are few in number, but when we concentrate, we actually can do massively good things. And we've done great things here in New Hampshire, but we need more and more libertarians. So this is it's a celebration of 20 years, but it's also saying, hey, there's still a lot of work to do. But so the festival itself is also all voluntary. It's voluntary for sure, but it's also volunteerism. So everybody's volunteering to do different things. The hubs are all voluntary. People start up these little, we'll have over 125 of these hubs. And so they start up these little sites. Some of them are small. Some of them kind of grown over the years into really big events. And they'll have events there. They'll have food there. They'll have products and services. And some of them are just lounges where you can hang out. So so the third edition was actually going and talking to the people who kind of coordinate some of the major volunteerism parts of Porcfest, and just what their experiences are and how they help out. The people who help out on Porcfest, they're great. Of course, they're real leaders within the movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I really was very overwhelmed the first year, because it really is not like any other event that you go to, because it's on a giant campground. We're talking about like what is like 116-acre campground or something like that. I mean, it really is a very large campground. You can spend the entire week at Porcfest and not see all parts of that campground. And so when Dennis says a hub, basically what happens, and I'm actually going to be doing this year for the first time, so I'm a little bit nervous about it, is you get a campsite or an RV site, and you can do whatever you want on that RV site. And I'm basically going to be getting like a tent. I'm going to have some Unwoke art merchandise. We're going to have some chairs. We're going to be lounging about. I might be selling some drinky drinks out of a nice cooler that we have. We're just going to have a great time with it. It's a place that people can hang out or have events. We're going to be having our painting party for the Porcupine Pops if people want to do that. And so people can hold events, they can hold talks and discussions, and some of the hubs are really small and some of them are really big. I even saw there was a TP hub last year with goats running around and everything. And you really can do whatever you want, which is what makes it cool, because everyone is doing something different. And you will meet so many people that you would never meet in real life, that are just doing really interesting things. And it's just it's a really great time. And so it can be a little bit overwhelming, but I did find that when you get there and you actually start to learn how it works and you start to walk around and meet people, it becomes a lot simpler. All right. So I want to kind of jump right into it, because Kino, this is your first time at Porcfest. How are you feeling about it, Kino?
Well, based on the description, you guys have pretty much already answered my first couple of pages of questions just in the opening statement alone on how you described it. You're right. It doesn't not sound like a traditional festival. It sounds more like a Burning Man, but in New England. So I guess my first question, jumping off the Burning Man comparison, is there going to be a bonfire there, and how's it going to be lit?
So of course each campsite has a campfire, and so some of them, at nighttime they'll start a campfire, and some people will be playing bongos, some people will be singing, some people, so you'll have various music or activities around that. Down in the field they have a larger bonfire, and every night people will gather for that. That's a lot of fun, and people will walk down to the field just to be in the larger group. And you'll see, people will be down there in Indian garb and in three-piece suits, and I mean, it's just all different types of people. Now they all share liberty as kind of the cornerstone. So, but you can see how diverse this movement is. I tell people we're kind of suffering right now because so many people are getting so thick. When I talk about thick libertarianism, it's libertarianism that is okay. Yeah, you own yourself, and therefore I need to respect you. But also, to be really libertarian, you have to. And then they lump all these things into it, and people with kind of more liberal backgrounds will lump liberal types of things, and people with more conservative things will lump conservative things. But we all shared at Porcfest. What's great about it is that we all share that one ethic that the vast majority of the world's population does not have, and that is that you own you. You own you fully and exclusively. The ruler does not own you, and they don't own you by voting for some ruler to enslave you. So it's just it's fantastic to go to the different fires. Now we do like Burning Man. We have a Burning Porcupine. That's the last official event. But of course that's Saturday at like 8:30 or something like that, as the sun's going down. It's going to be particularly special this year. We're going to have people do kind of a ceremony of burning their authoritarianism out, and but during the early part of Porcfest, they actually build volunteers. Everyone's a volunteer. Okay, so you got 3,000 people there. They're all volunteers. Some subset of them will build a porcupine, and it looks totally different each time, but it's made out of twigs, and they're using unusual materials this year from what I hear. I always like the ones that they say, okay, we're going to actually put this on a table, and so you can take your picture with the porcupine, throughout the festival. And I highly recommend that. Maybe they'll get a sign with a double X and the porcupine, and you can take your picture, shoot yourself with the porcupine. But then at the very end, they carried it down to the fire. We'll either have speeches or we won't have speeches. If I'm there, last year I totally forgot about this. I was supposed to be there, and it's right after the rant, right after the soapbox idol rant, and I had Carlin, you gave a rant. I gave her.
Oh, I gave her. Yes, Bill, you guys have got to do Soapbox Idol. Soapbox Idol is great. You get 3 minutes on stage. You have to audition for it, but you'll probably get in. You have 3 minutes on stage. You stand on a literal soapbox and you just rant about whatever you want.
See, I'm kind of nervous about standing on boxes like that because I'm a big guy. I don't want to break that.
It's a big ass soapbox. It's a giant soapbox.
Well, I'm a big ass guy, so I'm worried about this alleged soapbox. I don't want shit breaking.
Justin stood on it just fine. Justin
did
it
shit, I got nothing to worry about that.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, it holds me. So, and I gesticulate. So, but yeah, I was so caught up in that energy. And I don't know. I mean, I think Carol greeted me because, this is my 5th year organizing, and it takes so much out of one. Last year I had been organizing since November. This year I've been organizing since July. And so she greeted me after there with some presents, let's just say. It's like, okay, finally you're off. And then we went up to the shell, and you know very quickly I forgot what I was doing. And I totally missed the porcupine. But anyway, so what they'll do is they'll have a talk, and sometimes they'll light it in different ways. A couple of years ago, they actually did it with a flamethrower, which I thought was cool as all heck. It was one great video. If you see it,
that was Luke, that guy that's on Timcast all the time. Yeah, I forget his last name, but he lit it with the flamethrower.
That's right. So so I don't know. There's plans and stuff. I said, look, if you want me, I'm there to say something beforehand. I do like the ceremony aspect of it. We've actually that's something that will probably be a little bit new this year, and kind of more reflective, because this is a serious movement. The Free State Project is a very serious movement. Porcfest is kind of a party where we kind of let loose a little bit, but it does reflect the overall movement. And that was a major part of my redesign of Porcfest. That when you come here to New Hampshire, there are over 100 different groups doing all different types of liberty types of things. And you may not fit into this group or that group, but you finally find a group that you fit in, and then you're working with that group and you're advancing. And sometimes you go, boy, I'm doing great things, but I really want to form my own group. And so you'll split off, and now we have 223 groups. And because we have so many libertarians, a bunch of libertarians come and form around that. And the hub model is kind of like that with at Porcfest. And so you have all these diverse people, they're all coming together, and during the course of the year, there's kind of siloed. But at Porcfest, we all kind of come together, and it's a big kumbaya moment. This year, I think we've been too much Twittered or something.
I think people are spending way too much time on Twitter. Yeah, I think they are.
I like your analysis, Carlin, that there's almost a psychosis that happens with Twitter, because I see these people. I go, why are you being so cruel? What are you talking about? We actually do have giants to fight, right? We have psychopathic monsters who kill millions of people, who launder billions of dollars, and we're fighting with each other over nonsense. Come on, guys, stop it. There's the enemy. Let's go get him.
That brings me to my next question here. Now, this is probably going to be, I'm going to try to keep everything related to Porcfest though, but almost a month ago, there was a bit of drama on Twitter with Free State Project, like LPNH and everything. I'm seriously, considering about moving to New Hampshire, particularly in the Berlin or Concord areas here. And with all the infighting happening, it's starting to turn off a lot of us migrants, starting to move up there. So what, I guess what I'm asking now is, like, what can you do to reassure the people outside coming in that we're welcome, instead of being, and I quote, trash taking out itself?
Yeah. I'm the trash that got taken out, and so my community needs a little reinsurance. Well, I'm one of the trash that got taken out, and so. But I mean, to be serious, Dennis, like, this was actually a big deal, because I mean, what happened. We don't need to rehash it here, but when you have major libertarian groups talking about people who are talking about people as trash, and people coming to the event specifically for that creates problems. Like, the Free State Project account unfollowed me on Twitter for reasons past my understanding. I have no idea why, and so I look at it and I'm like, I'm not even wanted in this community, so what the hell am I even doing?
Well, when I first came here, I was just so excited, and I tell this story, but here's where I moved. And
it is a beautiful property.
And right across, this is an estuary that has a 7-foot tidal So it goes up 7 feet, down 7 feet. Every single day, there's herons and eagles, and I've even been swimming out there, and a seal passed me by. And I'm what?
No,
Yes.
no, that
Oh
did
yeah.
not happen. You're
Oh
making that
yeah.
up,
Oh,
Dennis.
it was incredible. It was incredible because I swim distance. And I was just getting back to this dock. Well, I was maybe a quarter mile away, and Carol was going to meet me, and she was going to go out on her paddle board, and we were going to go out into the sunset. So I was going to swim out in the sunset, and she was going to paddle out in the sunset. And so I'm out there, and so we're 7 miles away from the ocean. This is Great Bay, which is like one of the largest inland bays in the United States. And I see this log going by, and then I notice it's got a nose, and I'm thinking, it's one of the black dogs, but I'm out in the middle of this, and it's pretty far, and dogs, they're good swimmers, but they're not really distance swimmers. So I was getting a little bit nervous, and it stopped and it turned towards me, and it kind of started coming up and up and up. And it was like this long neck. I had no clue what it was. And all of a sudden I saw his body expanding out. I go, oh, I start yelling, Carol, look. And she's trying to get her paddleboard in the water. So she goes, I'm coming. I go, no. Look, there's a seal. There's a seal in the water. She goes, I'll be there. She thinks I'm yelling at her to come out. I go, no, look, it's right there. And it was so close. And I was going, she'll never, ever believe me. And finally, it went in the water and disappeared. And she comes paddling out. I said, honey, you missed it. There was a seal right here. It was incredible. She goes, oh, I know. It's right behind you. And I looked behind, and there was a splash. Now I've never seen anything up this high before or since. But it was, I tell you, that was. Now I also swim up in Penobscot Bay, and I've had seals follow me there and stuff. But just to have one, it's just oddly, you're going in, and I was swimming, and I remember, I saw this, and I go, well, there's this giant tree, these trees do, and you don't want to hit them when you're swimming. And so I thought, I better get around it, but no, it was a seal. Anyway, what were we talking about?
We were talking about reassurances that if Kino moves here, he's not going to be dragged into bullshit and then taken out with the trash by the alt-right conservatives running the LPNH.
So the reason why we live here is because right across that water, I can swim there. That's about a quarter mile. Okay, so I can swim across there. I can swim 5 miles, so I can swim that easily. And right across there is one of our Liberty clubhouses. We have many Liberty clubhouses scattered across, and that was when I first got here. That was the Seacoast clubhouse, and I was going, oh man, I love clubhouses. That's, I'm kind of a social guy, and I'm going to go there, and I create events. So I'm going to go there and create all these events and stuff. But they were very, who are you? Are you a pedophile? All this type of like really weird questioning. And and I would go over there and help them. And they did some carpentry. I can't do carpentry, but I tried doing carpentry, and I helped out here and helped them. And then finally, finally they let me in. And that was great. And I said, okay, great. Let's have this big gathering, So I put on events. And so I said, okay, we're going to invite all the libertarians in the area. And they go, whoa, wait a minute. Whom are you inviting? I said, yeah, we'll just invite all the libertarians, and they come in, and we'll have a great big party. And won't that be great? They go, wait, no. You don't understand. We don't like those people. I go, but wait, you're the Liberty Clubhouse for the entire Seacoast. They go, no, we're not really. I went through, I think, 3 different groups until I actually found the group that was actually aligned to me. Now, what happened eventually with this Liberty Clubhouse was I went ahead and just started another clubhouse. It's actually one of our most successful clubhouses. It's called the Shell. When you come to Porcfest, they'll be up there, and you can visit them. But it's a very different feeling from that clubhouse. That clubhouse is a very conservative, family only, young children, professional. They actually said to me over and over, look, we are boring and proud of it. Now, the clubhouse that I started, which is about 15 minutes in this direction, is much more open, a lot of activities, debates and discussions, and the doors are always open. And so it's just a totally different feel. My point is that you will fit in somewhere. There's hundreds of groups here. So the first, you're not going to fit in everywhere. In the authoritarian 49, there's so few libertarians, and you're surrounded by authoritarians, and you go, oh my God, I feel so weird. And you finally see a libertarian, you go, oh, welcome, brother. Oh my God. And you realize you finally have found somebody who's like 98% of and shares that very thin ethic. And you're just so happy. You're just so happy to actually find someone like that. Here, they're kind of a dime a dozen. It's fantastic because those people are doing something else. Those people are doing something. Those people are doing something. And we're all advancing liberty in different ways. But that doesn't mean that that's going to be your group. So I tell people, Porcfest is a great example because there's 120 different hubs, and you're going to meet all different types of people. It's a great place to go in and say, okay, where do I fit? Do I fit with this group? Do I fit with that group? Do I fit with that group? We have all this drama around Porcfest, and I keep on saying, well, okay, you're upset because this group here isn't doing what you would do. That's good. We want different groups so that different people will fit in. So anyway, it's a function of our success that we have so many groups, and that the groups are somewhat siloing because they don't feel like the necessity that they have to mix. And so they're kind of going, okay, we're really focused on this area, and anybody who's not focused in that area, you're out of here. Don't be with us. And I keep on suggesting, if you get that, create a new area. I'm actually creating 2 new groups out of Porcfest. When I'm done with Porcfest, I'm going to create 2 new groups because I'm kind of going, okay, this is not feeling good. This is not, what I want is this. And I actually put out, some feelers. I said, look, I'm thinking about creating this group. Boom. I had 30, 40 people sign up. Hey, yeah, this sounds great. I put out another one. This one's I'm calling Die Free. It's for people who might choose to have assisted suicide. How do we change the laws to actually allow us to do that, and not have to petition our masters for permission to end our own lives if we are self-owners? That's something that we do. A lot of people disagree, but boom, I had a lot of people who agree. A lot of people like myself are like kind of going, you got disease, you got all this type of things. And this is real stuff for us. So, I tell people that, just because you don't agree with one group doesn't mean that you don't agree with the other groups. There's such a variety. And if you don't find the group that you really like, create it. There's 10 to 1 that there's other people feeling like that. Put it out, and collect the people around it. It's like Porcfest. You'll see that there will be hubs that have 10, 20 people, hubs that will have more people, hubs that will have fewer people. That's great. That's what we want, and we want each group to actually expand. If you create a group that's unique and interesting, okay, great. Now get more people in there. And that's how we grow. We're not going to grow by having one and only one type of libertarian here, and everybody has to fit there. We grow by having hundreds of different types of libertarians here, and each one is expanding its circle. And then that forks, and now we have 2, and they're expanding, and now that forks, and now we have 4. That's how we're growing. That is how we are growing the Free State Movement. The Free State Movement isn't for a particular type of libertarian. It's for liberty people, and there's just a wide diversity of us. Yeah. And you'll see that at Porcfest. You'd certainly see that here. I try to explain this to people because people will say, well, this group represents the Free State movement. I go, no, it doesn't. That's one group out of hundreds. Well, they do. That's the only one I pay attention to. Okay, maybe pay attention to something else. At Porcfest, the people who are complaining about, oh, this group is doing that. I don't like that. I go, there's a 15-degree rule, I say, at Porcfest. Okay, if you don't like this, turn 15 degrees. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff there that you're going to like. Oh, you don't like that? 15 degrees.
That's very true. And I know we want to get the discussion back to Porcfest specifically, but just to put like a fine note on this, because I mean, the group that we mostly have issues with are the alt-right lunatics who have taken over the LPNation and internal coup and all that stuff. And I want to say this to be really clear. The vast majority of libertarians in New Hampshire are not members of the LPNH. So we don't even need to worry about them. They can do whatever they want to do. They can have their own little alt-right site and do whatever nonsense they want to do. And we don't have to be around them at all. And isn't that great?
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that part up as well too, Dennis. Regarding it's like, oh, there's like hundreds of different like liberty-based groups within New Hampshire as a whole. But like the main one, the most popular one, unfortunately, I've always considered them to be a brand ambassador to attract people up there. But in a nutshell, from what I'm gathering, fuck those guys. Come on up and see for yourself to see if it's the right fit.
Exactly. Fuck those guys. Let's just have a good time and enjoy our time together. What other questions do you have, Kino?
Yeah, and regards to some of the Twitter drama about some of the guest speakers going there, I'm under the impression that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be there and has asked for a gun-free zone. And I've heard from Carlin and others that have attended that Porcfest is concealed and open carry, allowed zone. And we have a speaker that has requested that, to have like a gun-free zone from when he speaks. Now, I from what I've gathered on Twitter, now I don't want to make this about a bunch of Twitter drama, mind you, but I'm coming to the point. How far does that gun-free zone extend to, and can you still carry and conceal outside of that said zone within an earshot? Like, and if so, what distances that is? Are we talking about grassy knoll distance, 3 feet distance, 25 feet distance, second gunman in a different building, Dallas Street? Like, what kind of distance are we talking about here?
Yeah, so people, and this goes back to our previous discussion, whether we're talking about thick versus thin. In a free society, we are property rights absolutists, right? So you can have a gun, but then if I ask you, if you come onto my property and I say, I love you, but you can't bring your gun on my property, well, guess what? You have a choice. You either come on my property without your gun or not. So the people who say, well, okay, Porcfest is very gun friendly, very gun friendly. If you look through the number of events that we have now, which is, we'll have about 1,000 events at Porcfest. A large number of them are kind of gun oriented. We have 3D printing and Second Amendment and constitutional carry, and we have a premiere of a video about Cody Wilson and his travails. We have economists talking about why guns are really important for society, and so it's extraordinarily gun friendly. Only about a fifth to a quarter of the people who are the attendees carry guns. So the vast majority of people aren't carrying guns. But and then within that group, the people say, well, everyone should be required to have guns in their property. And it's like, no, that's not a free society. That's just using the authoritarianism going the other way. Look, you own you. And you can do with your body what you choose. How you create property in the world is by using up your body and creating that property, and that property becomes an extension to you, and that's how we get property rights. So therefore, the property that you own is yours. So in a free society, we will have gun-free zones. Porcfest is a reflection of what it is that we're creating. Now, last year we had a gun-free zone. Nobody complained about it. As a matter of fact, we had events. We had a number of
Really?
events.
I
Yes.
didn't even know that.
Yep. And then one of the hubs was a kind of a gun-free zone, and then and then we had events that were gun-free. So for example, if there's let's say an altered state event,
Oh, that would make
the
sense.
appropriate responsible thing is not to take your gun. And if you are, I mean, we have gun safety classes there. We talk about what gun etiquette is. You're breaking the rules, so don't be doing that. That's so there's a lot of this upset and that type of stuff. But yeah, so in this particular case, the short answer is it's just that one hub. So we have 120 some hubs. It happens to be the largest hub, and that's why everyone's upset about it. But it's only there because he's going to be attracting so many people. So many people want to see him, and they don't give a darn. There are. So I'm a marketing guy. I don't think of things monolithically. Right. So the previous discussion we had was that, oh my goodness, there's this one group and you don't like this group and they don't like you. And so therefore all libertarians are like that. Well, that's just not true. You have 100 different groups, different segments here. Same thing with Porcfest. Let's just call one group kind of the political group and another group the hardcore Second Amendment group. Right. The political group happens to be a lot bigger than the hardcore Second Amendment group. They're excited about RFK. They want RFK. They want to hear what he has to say to the libertarian group. They have all these arguments as to why this is an important thing and why RFK is there. We just had WMUR, the local news radio news TV, do a couple minute segment on how RFK is actually going to Porcfest and how the New Hampshire Democrats are very upset about this. And they're just going, oh my goodness, how terrible is this? Oh, yeah. And the political group thinks that this is fantastic. They go, this is exactly what we wanted. And, but the Second Amendment group is saying something else. Right? They go, I should be wearing my gun everywhere. And you can't wear your gun everywhere. This one hub during this one time period on this one event. If you want to come in, don't wear your gun. It's that simple.
Can people have guns in the pavilion, like, or in the field around the pavilion? Like, what is the perimeter of the gun-free zone, Dennis?
Yeah, so it's just that one hub. It's just that one hub. So it's the perimeter of that hub. There's another hub that's right adjacent to it, which is Goldbacks. But just to the left of it, there's the Fire Steel Pavilion. Mm-hmm. And they have, at the same time that RFK is talking, they have a Second Amendment constitutional carry. Where do you shoot in New Hampshire, led by the guy who's going to be doing the Newbie shoot at Porcfest. Okay, so Tony Likas is doing that, and that's the same time that RFK is talking. Okay, now on the other side, there's probably the third largest hub or something, and they have a meet and greet with Maj Toure on Black Guns Matter and that type of stuff. That is like gun welcoming, like, oh my God, this is absolutely fantastic. On the field is a hub too. On the field, there is kind of like this open air, show us your kits. So people are bringing blankets and talking about, what they use and what they don't have and stuff like that. And they even have, right after that, they have a hamburger thing. And I think it's like $5, but it's $1 off for the hamburger for every gun that you're carrying, And so to say, Free State Project isn't banning guns. I mean, what are you talking about?
Isn't the Body Freedom Village doing some sort of like gun fashion show or something like that?
Unfortunately, they're not doing it at the same time because that would be a great story. But no, there's another hub that I think that day or maybe the other day is having a gun only. You can only enter with a gun. And then and I hate to say this because people are thinking that we're all gun people, and the vast majority of people are not are not doing guns. But there is something at Body Freedom where it's kind of show us your gun garb or something like that, and people are dressing up in different garbs, and it's Body Freedom, so there'll be some nude, but it's all way down over the
Wearing
corner.
nothing but the gun.
Well, that was there's a good friend of ours who's absolutely, I mean, oh my goodness, he's so creative. But they had a nude Olympics, and so you entered in it, and there was this whole obstacle course, and I never got to see any of this stuff. I'm working, I'm too busy with everything else. But but one guy entered with wearing nothing except his gun and in a holster.
And he ran the whole thing. They're doing the nude Olympics again this year.
They are doing the nude Olympics, yeah. But that one experience and inspired the gun fashion show. The holster and all show us your holster thing. So anyway, so that one hub, it's going to be a closed thing. It's unfortunately with the hubbub, it's the seats. It's just going to be very few people get in there. I mean, the reason why it's there is because so many people want to get in there. I mean, despite I mean, we've had big talks there, but I think that had it been open, I think we'd have had the largest crowd of any of our events because RFK is talking about how cronyism always infects politics, as indicated by the COVID regime, by endless war, and by climate change. And I'm very proud of that topic because I work. So we have 1,000 events. 4 of them are these big politicos that everyone wants to talk about, but that's 0.4%. So we have 99.6% that aren't that. But everyone wants to talk about this, and I have to, when these big things come in, I have to talk to the people and say, okay, so how are you talking to the Free State Project people? How are you talking to porcupines? How are you talking to libertarians? Tell me something that I find interesting. Larry Elder's coming in. He wanted to talk to us about minimum wage. I was like, I laughed. I said, we could tell you about minimum wage. I don't want to hear that. So I have to work with each group and find out, okay, look, what is it that you understand about liberty in your particular area that you can bring that's new and interesting and exciting to this group? Mm-hmm. And so that's what we have. We have, I think it's going to be interesting and fascinating and stuff like that.
So the big politicos are RFK, Larry Elder, Tulsi Gabbard, and Vivek Ramaswamy. I love Vivek. I know Ian doesn't like Vivek, but whatever. Ian doesn't have to go to Vivek. I love Vivek.
I don't like any politicians. People are going, Dennis is just doing this because he wants to get his picture taken. But I won't even be at the events. I might go to Tulsi because I'm.
Wait, just because you want to get your picture taken? You live in New Hampshire. You can get your picture taken with a politician any day of the week.
The only reason I'm doing it is because there's this segment that loves. They think this is the biggest thing, and they want Lynn Ulbricht to ask, to include. So RFK, a big thing that he's been doing is saying, okay, I'm going to pardon Assange and Snowden. And the libertarians go, thank God somebody's saying it. Finally, somebody on the main stage is saying it. Okay, so we say, okay, well, what about Russ Ulbricht? Mm-hmm. Are you gonna what about him? So we're gonna have Lynn, his mother, ask that.
Good. Oh, that'll be great.
And then the Crypto 6. Right. Mm-hmm. So 2 years ago, Carlin, if you look at the picture of the, we do the family photo at the end of Porcfest, and everyone comes out, all the different groups will come out wearing similar garb or, standing together and stuff. And you get a picture and it's thousands of people. But the Keen people were holding this sign that says, free the Crypto 6. And now they were complaining. They weren't complaining about the guns. They were complaining that we had politicians in there, that we shouldn't have any politicians in there, especially these scumbag Republicans and these scumbag Democrats. part of me is kind of like going, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go see him, but but other people do want to see him. But they're holding these signs that say "Free the Crypto Six," and I'm going, okay, well, you held those signs. Whom were you asking to free the Crypto Six? How about the guy who wants to actually go and free these political prisoners? Just a suggestion, guys. That might be the right person to ask.
That's what I keep saying. I'm like,
just saying.
That's why I keep saying, I'm like, are you going to go ask them a question? Are you going to go engage them in a discussion? Then why would you expect them to do anything like that would help you or even like consider the idea? It just makes no sense. And you don't have to go. Like, is really the point. You don't actually have to go.
Well, and that's true of all these different groups, right? You have all these different groups in the Free State doing all these different things, and someone says, "Well, I don't like what that group is doing." And you go, "Okay, well, don't do it." And they go, "Well, but they're getting more press than we are." Okay, so why don't you get more press?
Yeah, like we can control that.
This is a challenge to you to up your game, as opposed to whining about them and they're doing a good job upping their game. I see this as kind of a competition with all these different groups and doing all these different things. I would like to see all the groups growing and all the groups bringing in more and more people, because we need more people. We've made tremendous progress in the Free State, but we need a lot more people. And fundamentally, we agree a lot more with each other than we do with the establishment Republicans, than with the Democrats, and certainly on the political side. But we also need more infrastructure. We need more people trading in gold and silver and crypto. We need more people building Liberty clubhouses and having debates and discussions and stuff. We need more people farming and homesteading. There's all these gigantic areas where people are working that aren't these particular political things. And people go, yeah, but this one group. I go, so what? Up your game. Do more. Attract people like that. One of my suggestions is that we actually have the agorism festival and the homesteading festival and the crypto festival and because we're doing incredible stuff here, and the gun festival. We're the #1 state for gun rights. So don't try to force Porcfest into the gun festival. It's not. It's a big tent. It shows off a variety of people, and some of them may not value your particular type of liberty as much as you do. Just let them do stuff. I challenged them. So the 2A, you shouldn't be having those people here. I go, okay, so whom did you bring? Now, frankly, we have Maj Touré, and that's good, but they also tried to get Cody Wilson. Like I said, we're doing the premiere of one of these of Cody Wilson's new documentary, which is really exciting. I mean, this is, and when they first came to me, two independent people. Okay, they didn't know each other, but they're both working to try to get Cody Wilson. And I said, look, you give me Cody Wilson, and I'll work with him, and we'll give him 2 slots in the pavilion.
Yeah,
there's no Cody Wilson. They didn't get him. So they failed. Now, turned out to be 5 independent porcupines trying to go and get RFK. 4 failed, 1 got him. We have RFK. People go, why do you have RFK? You should have my guy. I go, what are you talking about?
You could have gotten him. You didn't do it.
You bring him to me. I'll put him on, baby. You give me someone exciting like that. And boy, and now, will I have complaints about Cody Wilson? Oh, God, yes. Oh, my God. People like to complain about everything. But, this is a big tent. This is a big tent, and that means that there are libertarians here who you do not identify with. That's okay. That's okay. That's how we have to build a free state. A liberty state will have many, many different segments. So please allow different segments to be themselves. And if you want your segment to show bigger, go bigger. It's a challenge. Go bigger. Bring, Anyway.
I agree, Dennis. Anyway, I wanna just grab this super chat real quick from Naruto. Our favorite narcissist just did a video on Andrew Tate. Oh, we'll have to check in with our favorite narcissist later. Thank you, Naruto. I appreciate the update. Kino, what other questions do you have about Porcfest?
Well, like this, Dennis is, answering all my questions I didn't need to even have asked. He's just rolling. This is great.
Stick a quarter in.
That quarter well spent. Thank you very much. But one of the things I did want to ask, I'm trying to keep it to Porcfest, but again, outside looking in, what can the state of New Hampshire do to bring in to attract mom and pop businesses as well as big business? Like, for example, I have a background in 3D graphics animation. I'm looking to do a small startup VFX house. What does New Hampshire offer that other states don't? I'm currently in Florida here, so.
That's a good question. I don't know, Dennis. Do you have any thoughts on that?
To get if you don't know the answer to the question, that's perfectly fine. I'm just trying to put it out there. Like the state of Georgia, for example, bear in mind I lived there for 15 years. They do have a tax incentives for production houses to come there, set up for big box office productions. Like a good chunk of all the Marvel films were shot in Atlanta. Jumanji was shot in Atlanta. X-Men. The list goes on. And yeah, I know taxation is sensitive, but what can be done in New Hampshire to attract Hollywood? Not the vile venom of Hollywood, but the creative talent of Hollywood to come to New Hampshire to set up shop.
Yeah. One of the biggest excitements that I have in the upcoming year is we're kind of getting to the point now where we have enough video people and documentarians coming and interested that we're going to actually start doing our own documentaries about the Free State Project. We had NBC Boston come. And they did an 11-part docu-series on the Free State Project. Have you seen that, Kino?
No, I have not. I've only seen what Carlin has shown us in the private Zoom call, especially Jeremy. Is that Kaufman or Hoffman?
Kaufman. Yeah.
Kaufman. I apologize if I butchered the name. I love his ads when he was running. Those were great. The War is Gay one, fantastic. The anti-pro-abortion videos, masterpieces. Not masterpieces of cinema, but
and Dan Smots is going to be there. Dan Smots, the evil genius behind those ads, is going to be there.
Yep. Oh, I can't wait to party with that guy.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he's giving a talk about the type of work he does. There's another thing about doing about filmmaking in authoritarian states. And I highly recommend that you go to both of those, given your interest. The question, though, that you ask, and it's interesting to note its form. You said, what can New Hampshire do? What people don't realize is this is a project, and this is something that's calling on people to do human action. So, yes, is there a lot of things that people can do? Yes, but you have to actually come here and do it. Because no one's going to do it for you. It'd be nice to have someone do it for you. But the things that I'm interested in, for example, that's not true. There's a lot of things that I'm kind of interested in. And actually, what I choose is, okay, that seems to be pretty well covered here. That seems to be pretty well covered. This one is not covered. And so therefore, I'm going to get involved here. So that's like the die-free one, right? It is very, very much based in libertarian ethics, but it's not something that is actually present here. So I recommend that people come and actually create. You can create companies. You can work together. You can start producing things and showing things, and then you can also work legislatively. We have 100 people in the House that you can work bills through. If you say,
a bunch of state reps are going to be there, like wandering around.
Yeah. But if you say, well, the way to do this is through this thing and that thing. Well, okay, great. You can write some legislation. You can find people who will put that legislation in there. Now, will it pass? Depends on how much you're willing to work for it. It's a project. This is what we're seeking. We are seeking builders. Now, a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to come until you have X freedom or Y freedom. And I go,
then they would say it was too cold once that happened.
We are building something important. 6,000 years of slavery to rulers. We are reversing that in one small area. What we need, though, is we need Liberty people who are willing to work and do it. People who say, "Oh, yeah, I like Liberty, but I'm not really going to lift my finger, and I'm gonna free ride on other people's labor." First of all, I'm not sure that your area is going to be advanced because it takes effort, it takes human action, and if you're the person who says, "I see a need here," that's really kind of karma telling you, come here and do that. I tell people all the time when people are complaining, I go, okay, great. That might be the area that's calling out to you. Like with this Liberty Clubhouse, right? I could have been like complaining, go, man, this sucks. I don't like this. Blah, 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 blah. So, but what did I do instead? I created a whole new place that, now we have 2 clubhouses. You come in, you're a conservative professional family. You don't want to late nights. There's a clubhouse for you. You're younger. You want more fun. You want more activity. There's a clubhouse for you. We now have a clubhouse fitting 2 really different segments. And then if you come here, you go, oh, I don't like that club. I don't like that club. Create a 3rd one. We have the people. So, I mean, I think that it's you have to be careful. If you find yourself saying, what can New Hampshire do? The correct answer is, what can I do? And the answer is, you've got this libertarian army around you. Am I the one who's going to be pushing on 3D graphics? No. It's in my list of things, it's really low. Would I be glad to see advances there? Absolutely. Would I benefit from? Absolutely. But I'm working on all these other areas. And people who start saying, oh, Carla should do this or Jeremy should do that. I'm going, man, point back at yourself. This is we are the people who are creating this. This is us in a battleground, and innovation is really our main tool. So please, just like at Porcfest, where all these hubs are innovating and creating their own little hubs, maybe what you do is now there are other people who are doing stuff in this area, and you collect them together and you create a group and you say, what do we need? What do we do? You have support, just like the homesteaders, they're supporting each other, and the agorists are supporting each other, and the crypto people are supporting each other. And you create this group, and it intersects with each other. And so it's how we build. We build with builders. We don't wait around. We're not waiting around for someone to solve this problem for us. We solve it ourselves.
Oh, there's Ron Pa. Ron Pa makes an appearance. Ron Pa 2024.
Ronnie.
And there are going to be. Go ahead, Kino.
I think what I was getting at with like what New Hampshire can do for you, not in the sense like, I'm a builder, that's what I do. That's what I've done my entire life. What I mean by that phrase is, what tax incentives are available for businesses to come into the state?
I think, I don't know that Dennis would have like that answer right off. Maybe you do, Dennis, but I would say this is a great conversation to have with people at Porcfest, though, because there will be people there who know the answer to that. And I think that there's going to be like a lot of, and like I said, like there'll be state reps there that you will be able to go and like have a conversation with to get more details that I'm sure. I'm trying to give Dennis an out here to not answer the wonky tax question, because I don't know that he would actually know.
Well, that's fair. I just wanted to be,
I don't know. I do know that there are a number of groups that are actually pretty powerful here, that business taxes, that's like a main focus for them, that's something that they really want to do. So if you actually had a proposal and you said, here's, you'll find alliances that will work it. But do we have a 3D graphic tax thing? And I would work with the documentarians and the other people and just say, hey, what can we do? Yeah. And then go to some of the political groups and say, I know that you want to decrease business taxes. Here's something that's would really expand our efforts. You can get bills in pretty easily in New Hampshire. So if that's something that you want to do, I say come here and do it.
Yep. Dennis, what like are there any talks this year that you are specifically like excited to host at Porcfest?
Well, we do have the premiere of Die Free, which I'm very excited about. Connor Duragadis. I'm sorry, Connor. I'm destroying your last name. So he's doing that. I'm doing a number of talks kind of on ethics. Next year, I won't be doing Porcfest. I'm going to have a hub on ethics. So I'll
That'll
be
be
doing a
nice.
number of talks around that. The person I'm actually the most excited about, actually, there's two speakers I'm really excited about. One is Larkin Rose is coming, and he's returning back to Porcfest after a hiatus of about 7 or 8 years. And when I first took over, that was actually one of my goals, was to get him to come back. And I'm very excited that he's going to come back. He's going to do a number of talks, and I'm hoping to be able to squeeze out and attend at least one or two of his. And I highly recommend people go see him. I love his style. I love the way that he puts libertarianism in a very basic, down to earth fashion. And then I'm certainly Keith Knight is one of my favorites.
Oh, I love Keith so
Oh
much.
yeah, that's right. You interviewed him.
He
You
is
interviewed
so
him.
good. He is so for being so young, he is so good and
Oh,
so
he's
smart.
great.
Oh my
He's great.
God.
Well, he has kind of a similar background to us, and that he's very methodical and clean, and he comes at it from a very ethical perspective, which is what I so appreciate for him. And I think he's the best interviewer we have. So he's going to be here. I'm very excited about that. And then of the big events, probably the one I'm most excited about, I'm hosting what Gene Epstein likes to call two Jews bickering at each other. It's David Friedman, who wrote the essential consequentialist argument for anarcho-capitalism, and versus Gene Epstein. And I'm the moderator on that debate, so
wow.
I'm very honored to be doing that. But I'm actually really excited about the Kaufman Kibbe debate, where Kaufman is making the argument that it is easier to convert someone from heterosexuality to homosexuality than it is to convert somebody from authoritarianism to libertarianism, and Kibbe is taking the opposite. So that's going to be a very fun debate.
What could possibly go wrong with that debate?
I'm hoping to get to that.
Are toys involved? Are they going to have sock puppets for this debate? Like, how is this going to work?
That's not the worst idea in the world, actually.
Gene Epstein is moderating that one, and that one's going to be very interesting. I'm also the moderator for the panel discussion with the NBC Boston people who did the. They were 9 months embedded with us. I highly recommend seeing the docuseries.
Are they going to be screening the full docuseries at Porcfest?
We are screening the full docuseries, I think, on Tuesday night or Wednesday night. We're screening it up in the 101. And then on Friday we have the panel with them, and the two producers, the producer and then the chief cinematographer will be there, but also their boss, who I don't know how she got this through Boston, but the free haters, they don't like this because it actually treats us as though we're human, and they like to portray us as vermin. I go, why would we be vermin just because we like peace and respect and allowing people to live their own lives? How are we the vermin when you want to kill us for that? So anyway, they embedded with 9 months, and so I'm going to be asking them questions and having them talk about a number of things, and then open it up to the audience. We'll show a couple snippets from the thing. They're gonna have me eat my words, because when I first met them, I was basically saying, look, I know that you have to do a hit piece on us. I'm very sad about that. I know your bosses will, the boss who's actually going to be there, she's going to require no matter what you learn here, that she's going to require that you do a hit piece because that's the audience that you're selling to. But we're really just not like that. So they're actually going to put some of those words. I think that they're going to take that part which isn't in any of the documentary, and then we're going to show it, and then I have to eat my words.
That's gonna be fabulous. I still haven't seen it, and it's not that I don't want
You
to.
haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it. I have not seen a whole, like I kept, like, I wanted to go to the screening thing that you guys had at St. Anselm's, and I just didn't have. I've been so fucking busy so I'm going to sit my butt down in the 101 room and watch the entire thing because I really do want to see it. I just have not had the time.
Yeah, it's very good. I mean, when we do our own documentary, will we frame everything like they? No, we won't. But I thought it was fair, and it's it had the free haters on there talking about how terrible this whole freedom idea is, and how you can't run a society like that, and oh my God, the bears are going to eat us all.
I'm in the last episode. What? Oh God. I didn't need to know that, Reagan.
We have to watch it now.
No.
Yeah.
I was not not for real. I'm sure it was just like a shot of me in the background.
Well, they're actually shooting the 12th and 13th episode, and they're going to turn it into an actual documentary.
Oh, that's really great. I mean, it did look like it was the parts I saw looked like they were beautifully shot.
Oh,
and,
really well done.
Oh, it was during the Bulldog stuff. Oh, I see what that. Oh, yeah, I was definitely in my best form on that. And so yes, Dennis is like, God. That was so fun. But no, I mean, like the stuff that I saw, it did look beautiful, and I loved that they had you guys in like the studio afterwards for like these interviews, and it was just like,
that was really good.
Great coverage.
That was
like
really
good coverage.
Yeah, if you go to the extras where they actually interview some of the people who were actually in those things, and they have free staters, and then they also have free haters, depending on which episode emphasizes it, and you can hear the free haters talk about how scary this whole freedom thing is, and the free staters go, it's so lovely, especially from my perspective, because it shows the two different philosophies, and I understand that the free haters, they don't like freedom. And there's 49 states for them to go to. And I highly recommend that they go. 30-minute U-Haul will help pick up some expenses.
Dennis, are there any rules at Porcfest that Kino should be aware of as a newbie that he needs to follow?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that one up. Is there going to be like a newbie or virgin sacrifice on the first day? Where you get like forget the phrases. Like when I living in Georgia, I want to, I'm not going to go into details about this convention. It's called Frolic Con. And they
Did
have
you go to a furry convention?
Furries were there, yes. Oh no,
we're
I
not
hope I
going to go
didn't
into
get
any more details
demonetized
on that. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. No.
No, we're not. So like the whole point of like the first day of con, like I know that Burning Man in New England, aka Porcfest, is a whole different animal here. Is there going to be like a newbie orientation? Like, okay, all of you out of towners, get your asses over here. We're going to say the do's and don'ts or something like that, or is the rule simple? Like, fuck around, find out. Like,
no. Yeah. I mean, basically, the non-aggression principle is the guiding light. That now it happens that the roads are owned. And people think, well, this is some sort of, we got rid of commons last year because it just caused us too much trouble. So there are rules. So for example, you need to be clothed walking down the roads. The pavilions are owned. So I just found out that I basically am in charge from July up until June 18th, and then this goes over to my co-producer who's involved in fulfillment. Now she's been preparing all the teams that are actually going to be fulfilling this gigantic thing. So the park rangers and the free aid and the facilities and the registration and the porcupine, there's all these groups that are doing all these different things. Everyone's a volunteer, by the way. One of the anarcho poco guys, who was called up on one of these podcasts, and we were talking, and finally he understands. He says, "Wait a minute. So you're working like thousands of hours and you're not paid?" I go, no, this is a labor of love. This is, this is my gift back to humanity. This is what I want to actually create. And he was like, but you're not paid. But yeah, nobody's paid here. As a matter of fact, it cost me hundreds and thousands of dollars out of my pocket because, I don't like doing receipts and stuff. So I just can't do it. So anyway, so she takes it, and then she's actually owning these properties. And so, if there's a debate over whether a grass skirt is sufficient clothing, there's no, this big
Are
debate.
gun holsters sufficient clothing?
One person saying that's not sufficient. We go put something else on, and boom, it's done. All this tragedy of the commons stuff that happens.
The great grass skirt debate of 2022.
Oh my God, that's 2 months of my life I will never get back.
Wait, that was a legitimate thing.
That was legit. Jeff, who runs the Body Freedom Village, who is a nudist activist. So Dennis told you they have to put on clothes to leave the naked area, right? So Jeff, in his infinite wisdom, put on a tiny grass hula skirt.
He made it. He made it with duct tape and actually going out and getting large grasses. Now, he came to the Shell hub that I was at, and I'm like looking at it, go, damn, that's a good idea. I'm going, that's great. Now I was looking forward, and Carol was on the side. A few days later, when everything had blown up, I said, but you couldn't see anything. She goes, oh no, you could.
You could. This hula skirt
depended on the angle you're at.
Like the angle, the lighting had to be perfect.
You absolutely could. Like there were things that you could see, and there was a conservative parent who had kids in the field when Jeff was wearing his grass hula skirt, who were not impressed with Jeff's grass hula skirt.
So yeah,
and like, you're bringing your kids to a libertarian festival with no rules. Like, what did you expect? Like, you didn't have to bring them.
So basically, right there, I actually was in at that time. That was after Carol had kind of greeted me, and I had missed the burning porcupines, and one of the pork rangers came and says, what do I do? I said, look, you are now the owner of the pavilion. Whatever you say goes. So, if you say, you go put on some clothes, if you don't like
put
it,
on a pair
leave
of
the
shorts,
goddamn festival. I'm having a party. I don't want to hear the debate. But it actually did take 2 months of people debating about what would be the rules and how the rules, and we just said, look, it's just too complex. Constance is in charge. So on Monday the 19th, if you have a complaint, check with the park rangers. If you really want to push it, if you want to be a pain in the ass, go ahead and push up to Constance. But Constance rule is absolute on the roads and in the places that we that we run. The field, the pavilion. But now on Kino's hub or his campground, he makes the rules. And if he says everyone in grass skirts, well, goddamn, put your grass skirts on or get off of Kino's property.
All I ask is that you wear socks. That's it.
Socks and a grass skirt. Now, what could go wrong with that?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So yeah. So and I just found out that she had a rule that said that you couldn't smoke in the pavilion. She just thinks it's just kind of rude to smoke cigarettes. And when people,
I don't think it was the cigarettes that she was worried about people smoking in the pavilion, Dennis.
Yeah. That's true. It's true.
She has a problem with hand rolled cigarettes.
Apparently so.
So yeah. So and that's her role. And okay. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Well, there you go.
Gabs, our hub is like two campsites down from the Body Freedom Village. No one has to wear nothing. We're in the naked area. We are squarely in the naked area. Okay.
And that reminds me, I'm glad you brought that one up. Your campsite, if I remember correctly, is right next to like a body painter, right? Like a full body painter.
Yes, there's a full body painter at the Body Freedom Day. That's gonna be so cool.
That guy is an artist. I mean, I don't know if you've seen his work. We have a face painter who does incredible work. She turns them into butterflies, and it's mostly the kids, but The artwork was incredible last year, and then this guy's new, and he does full body art, which is incredible.
Yep.
Now,
You
like,
can also do naked yoga. You can do anything naked at Porcfest, apparently, if you're in the proper area of the campground.
So, like, I know that based on the discussion thus far regarding Porkfest, it's kind of like, a free for all hodgepodge. Is is there like a point to try to keep, like the art campgrounds with artists, or is just like a roll the dice, and it's kind of like, you're going to see something on this trek, you're going to see something the complete opposite on the same trek right next to the campsite, or is there like,
There are
is there not like a clear designated areas for
There-
like certain things?
There are different areas of the campground. Dennis can probably explain more, but there are different areas of the campground. There is a family area specifically that is kind of set away from the naked area. So if you want to, have your kids, and there's a playground and a pool and all that stuff, they're in very, very different areas.
And it was a lot easier when we didn't sell out the campground. Porkfest before I took it over never sold out the campground. There was so much room, and so we actually had a designated family area. A designated adult area. We generally have that, but if really you never want to see a breast not exposed or exposed. If you never want to see a breast exposed, you might see it at Porkfest. There's no guarantee. I don't know. Now, if you have a real complaint, make it to the park rangers, and they'll make a determination. But basically, most people are like totally oblivious to these big debates. Most people are going, "What are you talking about? I never saw anything." I like I said, I was standing right there in front of Jeffrey. I never saw anything. My wife did, but
yeah. Sorry. Hang on. I need to mute myself.
I think you broke.
Sorry. God. Yeah, apparently. No, I was just going to say, like, I've been to Porkfest the last 2 years, and I haven't really seen much of any nudity. I mean, I saw Jeff's side profile when I was down at the field house, and I was like, oh. And it was fine. It was just I was not expecting to see that much of Jeff in the outside of the pavilion, and so, but like, I mean, I've been there the last 2 years. I haven't been to the naked area once. I didn't see the naked Olympics. I don't think I've seen much of any nudity at Porkfest, to be honest. So it's like I know that the nudity is the like kind of saucy stuff, and it's kind of funny to like joke about it, but really, if you want to avoid all nudity, it is extremely easy to do so. It's not even like you don't even have to purposefully be trying to do so.
Yeah, and that was actually one of the things was, we had segments that said, well, we want to make sure that there's no chance whatsoever of nudity. And so then the people who are kind of nudists, they say, but why can't we be nude on our own property? And the answer is, well, it is your property. And so one of the things I did was I said, there was a sex worker panel, and some people say, well, we shouldn't have sex workers. That shows badly the free state. It's like, look, in a free society, on your own property, you might very well have sex workers talking about sex working, and boom, there it is. There's an S&M. They call it a munch, and I
heard about this. I was like,
what
is going on there?
Yeah, well, but I think it's a talk or something. I don't know what the heck it is. I've never seen it, but these were things that I basically added in and said, we're going to allow multiple segments here, all different types. Now we have people who actually complained about guns. It turns out that we have a large gun segment. It's a fifth to a quarter or carrying, and they like doing that. Kind of like the nudists like to be nude. It's actually much more acceptable than the nude, because you walk on someone's property nude. There are a couple of places that they say, we're happy to have you on our property there, but most places aren't. So how do we navigate this with different types of people? It's always interesting. Fear drives so much more of this than anything else. And it's like, don't be fearful.
Yeah.
People, just have a good time. And if you object to something, 15-degree rule. Oh my goodness, it disappeared. It's like magic. Oh, it's gone. Oh.
Well, gentlemen, we've been going for about an hour and a half. Kino, do you have any other questions that you want to ask Dennis about your first Porcfest experience?
No, like I got my quarters worth. He was just on a roll right there. I kind of felt bad because I was just sitting here like the quiet guy, but that's perfectly fine by me. But I really do want to say thank you to the both of you, for having me on for as much as I talk, which is perfectly fine. I was a bit nervous. Dennis, thank you so much for your time today, sir. And hopefully I had the honor to meet you in person at Porcfest this year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good time.
Well, when you meet me at Porcfest, please tell me the context, because I'm already kind of scattered. I've been working all these, just incredible hours. By the time I get to Porcfest, I'm a basket case, and I have like 10,000 things in my head, and I go, oh, I have to do this. And people come up to me, and go, Dennis. I go, oh, shit. Should I know this? Who's this person? Just be gentle with me. Tell me who you are. Say,
no, it's
hey,
like behind the scenes.
I'm Kino. I'm the guy who you just had with Carl. I go, oh, Kino, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my brain is like mush by the time I get to Porcfest.
No, I get it. It's like, like hosting these events aren't easy. Attending these events aren't easy. It's like you need a vacation from the vacation, like after everything's like all said and done. So,
wow,
it'll be good. I don't want to say I don't want to say I'll be gentle, but it's like I will approach you respectfully and charismatically, and we'll have a good time.
I'm a hugger, so give me a big hug. Tell me who you are.
Dude, like I am a giant bear. You don't want to tell me that whatsoever because I might pick you up.
Oh, we have bear men here, so don't worry.
Dennis, is there anything else you want to plug about Porcfest before we wrap up?
I invite people to come. Don't worry about all this thing. I mean, you can worry your head off, but it's so much fun, and it's so empowering. And like I said, 15-degree rule. Just turn your head. Most of the time you're not. Most of the time you go, "Ooh, that's really cool. Ooh, that's really cool. Ooh, 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 ooh." And it's not just politics. The Stitch and Bitch people, they started up at Porcfest, and now they have is it monthly or is it weekly? Stitch and Bitch in Manchester.
I think they're doing it weekly. Yeah, at the Quill. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have these things that start off in Porcfest and they spin off. This year, the thing that there's two hubs that I am really excited about. One is on the map. It's called Food, which is a terrible name. I think it's Atlas Kitchen or something like that. I've tried Omer's Food, and it's good. Unfortunately, they've 86'd me from the property because of this gun thing. And I'm going, really?
Seriously?
I've been working so hard to put you guys on this thing.
They told you that you couldn't get food from them because they're pissed off about the gun thing?
Well, it's not it's the guy who rented the place, and he's on a rag about this. And he just kept on at me. I go, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do about this? And so he 86'd me. I'll go, I don't have to do. I mean, I could be like really pissy and go, yeah, it's my schedule. So but I mean, I love Omer's Food. It's like fantastic food. So anyway, I recommend people go. You won't see me there. Sneak some food off and give it to me.
Oh, I will
be like
give you
that.
some food, Dennis.
But Omer's Food, last year I liked what was it, Chipotle's? They took good care of me, so I'll probably be over at Chipotle's when push comes to shove.
There was a lady last year. I hope she's back again. That had the jerk chicken that she grilled at her campsite. That lady was great.
Have I seen that coming up? I mean, last year we had 70 hubs. This year we're at 120 already, and then you have to actually add in another 15% of people who refuse to announce, right? Because I'm not going to announce it to the man.
Oh my God!
Yeah, Dennis is an authoritarian, a dictator. All I do is allow you to advertise, and somehow I'm a dictator by allowing you to advertise. Anyway, so there's that one, and then but the one I love is called Introvert's Corner. And what she's done is she's actually created like this space for introverts to go and be quiet. Because Porcfest is this gigantic thing, and there's 1,000 events, and there's 120 hubs, and there's well, what if you just most introverts are most libertarians are introverts. People like me are very rare in the libertarian community, and so here she created this introverts corner. I go, you've got a future as a marketer, woman. This is a good idea. And so she has game night, which is solitaire.
That's funny.
And then she has an ice cream antisocial.
That's funny.
Like, how many people is she expecting to show up?
That's my concern. Question. I think this is going to be like, this could be one of the most popular sites. Next year, she's going to have to get 4 sites because this is such a great idea. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so, and then there's always the things that show up that, I recommend that you go to porcfest.com, pull down menu, look at the schedule. And if there's not something on there that you go, oh man, that's so much fun. And there's, at a kind of a slow hour, there might be 7-8 items there. At a heavy hour, you're going to have like 12, 14 choices. Now, one of them on one day might be gun free. Okay, I got you. You don't like it? This is on the schedule. Yeah, make me mad. One of them. But ignore it. There's 12 others. Just do one of those.
Dennis, I think you've got your rant for Soapbox Idol already like practice. like, just go to something else, God. I'm creating this gigantic smorgasbord, and you could choose anything that you want. And someone says, there's black olives on there. I think this sucks. There's a black olive. Don't choose the black olive. Oh my God. And I just want to bring up two real quick. This is the map of hubs that you can find on porcfest.com. And of course, I will have the Unwoke Art Hub way down here by the Body Freedom Village. I actually think it's a great location. I'm like right by the parking and like the porta potties. Like, I think this is actually going to work out really epic well. There's always going to be people hanging around, but I will be there.
Each one of those white spots is a hub of activity. Each one of those.
I also like the Pie Hub. The Pie Hub last year was great. The Pie Hub was the Pie Hub because
they actually make pies.
No, they had pies out like slices of pie at all times. And it's a completely self-serve thing. It was like the honor system is like you pay in cash or like Bitcoin, and it was unmanned, and you could just go there anytime and get like a delicious slice of pie. It was great.
Yeah. It's funny because this was the map that came out at the end of May, and I'm already working on a map that has even more hubs on it. So it's interesting.
I figured you were, but there's all sorts of stuff to do. There's got the tea place that you can get tea. This is also where they have Beergasm, which Beergasm is like, we didn't talk about. Beergasm is my favorite event.
Where's Beergasm this year?
I think it's at the tea. I thought it was at the tea place. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I'm wrong, but Beergasm is great because basically what you do is you bring a 4-pack of any craft beer you want, but gotta be craft beer, not crappy beer.
Good. Don't bring Budweiser.
No fucking Budweiser, no Coors Light, none of that, no Michelob, no Corona, no any of that.
No Heineken. Heineken's out of it.
But good craft beer, and your admissions ticket is that 4 craft beers, and everyone puts all their beers out on a table, and then you get to sample from all of the beers. It is just the most amazing event. I got so drunk last year. My favorite beer was someone brought a beer that was aged in like an absinthe bottle, and it was like syrup, but it was so fucking good. Oh man.
Yeah. Can I ask a quick question real quick, since we just had the map pulled up?
Yeah.
If you two don't mind. Like I was reading the chat, I'm not asking you to highlight any particular one, but someone in chat was asking, Dennis, because we have over 120, 125 booths, vendors, things showing up to the event. Do you have like an approximate head count of how many people are going to be showing up based on ticket sales by any chance, or no?
Yeah,
Or what, or how many people are to be expected?
So
To be
each
at the
each
event?
day has different numbers of people.
Okay.
We will sell somewhere around 2,500 tickets this year, but our attendance will probably be higher than we've ever had. Last year we sold about 2,750, but our attendance, the people who actually register and sign in and get their stuff, we only had about 1850. So it's the attendance is always lower than than and I don't know why. I mean, come on, guys. This is so much fun. It's $75 for a ticket. So, people go, you know, I could go to one of the best parties and greatest times of my life. I could do that, or I could stay home and watch the Golden Girls reruns tonight because, Agnes or I forget what the heck their names are. She's going to be doing some crazy thing. Leave the Golden Girls behind. You can always watch that. Come on, come out and experience freedom. My goodness, I'd like to see everyone who has a ticket come and do it. Don't be intimidated. I know you're introverts. Go and then hang out at the introvert thing. But a lot of the lounges also are great oases. I tell people, especially newbies, come early. Find your little oasis. Find a lounge. Help the lounge set up. You want to make a good friend? Help the lounge set up. And now all of a sudden you're kind of the insider. And now when things get a little bit overwhelming, you got a place to go and hang out, and they know you, and you can kind of welcome people, and it builds up from there. So I don't recommend newbies come at the very end. Because it's not really the whole Porcfest experience. The Porcfest experience is really an immersion and connecting up with all these people. And you do that early in the week. By the very end, things are picking up, and it's a lot more events, a lot more activities. If you've been there early, you can kind of put it within a frame. But if you're coming late, it's all, oh my goodness, there's just so much. So I highly recommend people come early, enjoy the whole week. You will have a blast. My wife actually went there for a couple of years, and she stayed at the hotel, and she would work during the day and then come out at night, and she'd come out for different events. So she'd leave work and come for an event, then go back to the hotel, and so that's one way of doing it too. It's just kind of fun if you can't get away for the whole time. But it's just such a blast. It's just such a blast.
We're going to have a great time. Kino?
Yeah, and for those last minute people who were on the fence but are now convinced to coming to Porcfest, where can they stay? Where can they find that information at?
I actually saw a post in the Porcfest plans group just a couple of days ago where there are still like full houses that are available for rent that are very close proximity to Porcfest, like Airbnbs and stuff like that. And Dennis, what thoughts do you have?
Yeah, Golden Girl reruns really do pull in a lot of people. So people are saying, hey, the person who was supposed to rent this Airbnb with me, they bagged out. What do we do? I just saw today, somebody said, hey, I got this great spot. I'm not going. I don't know which Golden Girls rerun pulled her away, but so now she's, here, take this spot. And so I highly recommend that you join Facebook Porcfest Plans. Facebook Porcfest Plans. If you're one of the snobs who won't go on Facebook at all, then go on Telegram Porcfest attendee chat. How do you find it? Well, go to Facebook Porcfest Plans to get the link. But then just put it out there. Say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Or read back and say, hey, did you find someone there? Rogers Campground, the campgrounds themselves. I think we're still looking for one. There's a Silk Road that goes across, and that's a really good place for small vendors, or you're doing something small. I think we had somebody for one slot, but then I think he's now moving his stuff over to another one of the hubs, so he's kind of joining with that hub. So that one may be open. I talked to the campground, and they have something like, I don't know, 22 people on wait lists and stuff. It moves, but it may be a little bit late for that. The motel rooms aren't there on site, but yeah, the hotels nearby, get on their wait list and just keep bugging them, and then talk to people, and people work with each other. This is a very friendly festival. So put it out there that you're coming, that you're excited. Make your case that you would be a valuable builder of the Free State, and therefore people ought to put you up. And that's high motivation for porcupines. If you say, hey, I really want to come to Porcfest. I got my ticket and everything. I don't know where to stay, but I would be just such a great addition to your community. People say, hey, why don't you stay at my house?
Yeah. There are definitely places to stay, and I even saw some rooms maybe open at the cabin, maybe not on like the last day, the weekend, but like for the entire week. And so you can find a place to stay. And I think there's even definitely rooms at the really nice luxury hotel a couple miles down the road, the Mount Washington
Yeah,
Resort.
they had like a 2-for-1 deal.
They
I mean,
did. That was actually a really good deal.
I don't know if those are still available, but boy, I would scarf that up. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the mountain view. That's where when Tom Woods comes, he
Mhm.
only stays there because
Because it's
he
bougie.
requires a certain eloquence.
Mhm. Yes, exactly. All right, guys. Well, it's great to have you on the channel. I cannot believe Porcfest is coming up so soon, and I will definitely
Woo!
get to see you guys and hang out with you in person in a couple of weeks, and I'm really looking forward to it. Again, guys, please mount the like button for Dennis and Kino joining us here today. We really appreciate it, and maybe we'll have to do a little Porcfest debrief after Kino's first Porcfest experience after the event. How about that, Kino?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine with me. And I will have a camera, so we'll talk more about that in the
We'll
back end
talk
though.
about
But
what you are and are not allowed to film of me specifically. I don't care what you film of other people. I'm just saying of me.
fair enough.
All right,
Wait.
guys.
We're not allowed
Dennis?
to film you? We're not allowed to film you
I
now?
want editorial approval over any
Oh
footage that
my
gets taken of me.
goodness. Oh.
I am the narcissist, Dennis, the narcissist cult leader. I need editorial approval. I need ultimate control over such things. I'm just saying. All right, guys. But thank you so much. Great chat. I'm going to pull you both off the screen and do a little bit more shilling, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, guys. That was our Porcfest conversation. And remember, you can still have time to head over to unwokeart.com and access the special Porcfest 2020 collection, where we have t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, even prints of some of the designs if you want that. There's all sorts of different stuff you can get. They come in different colors and stuff like that. I will have some of these available on site. I will not have a lot of them available on site. So if there is a specific size you want, a specific color that you want to wear to the event, it is best to just get your order in now. It'll only take a couple days to print and get out to you, so get out to you in plenty of time. And of course, the big thing is that you want to make sure the exclusive Porcfest printed porcupine with the gun pop toy. We got these specially designed by Kino. There have been 3D printed. We have a very limited quantity of these. We only have 100 of them, and we've already sold a bunch pre-order on the website. So if you want to get your special edition toy, you are more than welcome to reserve yours now by going to unwokeart.com, and you can only pick these up at the event, okay? If we have extras afterwards, I'm open to shipping them, but I think they are going to sell out at the event. And so you will be able to get them on site, but if you want to make sure you reserve one for yourself in any quantity that you want, make sure you get your pre-order in, and you will be able to pick them up on site. And we will be doing painting events at the event, so we're going to have some paints, and you can customize it. I'll get myself my bigger on the screen right now. There we go. You can customize it in any way you want, any colors you want. Also, it's really cool, guys. It really is. I don't know if it's coming. It's just like, it's so cool. I've had it sitting on my desk all week. I got a whole box of them downstairs, but Kino just did an amazing job, and they're so awesome, and you will only be able to get these at Porcfest. All right, guys, that is all we have for today. So we're going to wrap up the stream. But again, thank you guys for hanging out. I do hope to meet some of you at Porcfest. Drop by the Unwoke Art booth. Come to one of my talks. Come to Gabrielle Clark's talk. We're going to be hanging out all week long, and it's going to be great. And the best week of the year, so far as I'm concerned. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time with another stream. Until then, take care, and we'll see you soon.